All right, let's just jump right in. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tracking what might literally be the greatest underdog story in sports history. We're looking at how a physically disadvantaged kid from Argentina defied all the odds to become the undisputed king of European football. It's a story where raw, natural talent collides with immense adversity, and honestly, it's absolutely fascinating. Because, you see, before we all knew him as this untouchable football god with millions of fans worldwide, he was just a kid facing a completely devastating physical limitation. Like a limitation that legitimately threatened to end his dreams before they even really started. It is just a staggering contrast, going from a kid who doctors thought would never reach 5 feet tall to an absolute titan of the sport. Section 1. A boy from Rosario. So it all starts in this small working-class town where his almost magnetic talent first popped up. Born in 1987, the kid was already playing for his local club, Grandoli, by age 4, just stunning crowds. By 6, he's at Newell's Old Boys, casually dropping around 500 goals in his youth career. He's on top of the world, right? But then, bam, 1997 hits. At just 10 years old, he gets diagnosed with a severe growth hormone deficiency. Now take a look at this number. 4 feet 8 inches. That was the terrifying reality his parents were handed. Doctors told them point blank that without serious, immediate medical intervention, little Leo was never going to grow past 4 foot 8. In a highly physical, demanding sport like football, that practically makes a professional career impossible. And here is where the brutal financial reality sets in. The treatment for this, a staggering $1,000 every single month. His dad was a steel factory worker, so you can imagine the strain. Despite their absolute best efforts to scrape the funds together, the money just started running dry. Even massive local clubs like River Plate, who really wanted to sign him, took one look at that massive medical bill and just backed out. So, out of pure desperation, his family had to look across the ocean to Europe for a lifeline. Which brings us to Section 2, the famous napkin contract. Okay, so picture this. September 2000. A 13-year-old Messi lands a trial at FC Barcelona. The first-team director, Charlie Rexach, is instantly mesmerized. But the club's board? They're dragging their feet for months. Investing in a tiny foreign kid with ongoing medical bills wasn't exactly standard procedure. Finally, Messi's dad has had enough and issues a hard ultimatum. Rexach starts panicking that they're going to lose this once-in-a-generation talent to a rival and realizes he has to lock him down right that second. So what does he do? He literally grabs the closest piece of paper he can find. It's honestly comical today, but the most valuable signature in modern football history was frantically scribbled onto a literal tissue paper napkin at a local tennis club. But hey, that flimsy little napkin changed the entire trajectory of the sport forever. All right, Section 3, the baby dream team. Now, moving to Spain at 13 wasn't some instant fairy tale. It was incredibly tough. Because of some registration issues, he could initially only play in friendly matches. To make things harder, his mom and siblings soon had to go back to Argentina, leaving Leo alone with his dad. He was insanely homesick. Plus, he was so introverted and quiet in the dressing room that his youth teammates, guys like Cesc Fabregas and Gerard Piqué, who would become global stars, genuinely thought he was mute. No joke. But on the pitch? Oh, he spoke volumes. He absolutely tore up the youth leagues. Just look at the 2002-2003 season, 36 goals in just 30 games. He was top scorer and helped secure a youth treble. My absolute favorite story from this era? He's playing a cup final with a fractured cheekbone, forced to wear this terribly uncomfortable plastic face mask. Mid-game, he gets so annoyed, he just rips the mask off, totally risking serious injury, and proceeds to score 2 goals in 10 minutes. Just pure, sheer determination. At age 16, he gets the official call-up to train with the senior squad, and these seasoned world-class pros, they were terrified of him. French winger Ludovic Julie famously called him an alien. Get this, the senior defenders were actually tackling each other incredibly hard in training, just so they wouldn't end up being humiliated and outplayed by a teenager. Moving on to Section 4, becoming a global phenomenon. $150 million. Let that sink in. When he was barely 18 years old, Italian giants Inter Milan were ready to drop this unbelievable sum to trigger his release clause, and they were going to completely triple his wages. For a teenager back in 2005, that was just an unheard of amount of money. But Messi? He was so deeply grateful to the club that funded his medical treatments that he loyally chose to stay at Barcelona. His talent was so undeniable that even the absolute best player on the planet at the time, the legendary Ronaldinho, saw it coming from a mile away. Ronaldinho kind of adopted Messi as his little brother, integrating him into the squad and even set up the assist for Messi's first official pro goal. He was going around telling the press, straight up, that this young kid would one day surpass him. And you didn't have to wait long to see why. In 2007, against Getafe, a 19-year-old Messi basically hit copy-paste on his idol Diego Maradona's famous goal of the century. He picks up the ball 60 meters out, effortlessly dances through 5 defenders, and slots it home from an angle that scientists later calculated to be pretty much mathematically impossible. He wasn't just playing well, he was literally replicating history right before our eyes. Section 5, Number 10, and the trouble. Now, despite all those brilliant early goals, there was a problem. Messi was constantly getting sidelined with muscle injuries. When Pep Guardiola took over as manager in 2008, he realized he had to save his star player from himself. See, Messi had some pretty terrible dietary habits. He was basically addicted to Coca-Cola and eating traditional Argentine choripan, which directly contributed to those constant muscle tears. So Guardiola steps in, literally bans the soda vending machines from the training ground, overhauls his diet to fish and salads, and assigns him a full-time personal physiotherapist and a nutritionist. While the results of this lifestyle overhaul were immediate and honestly devastating for anyone playing against him. Inheriting the iconic number 10 shirt from Ronaldinho, a fully fit, lightning-fast Messi was unleashed. Guardiola tactically shifted him into this revolutionary false 9 role, dropping deep into the midfield to create utter chaos for defenders. In that 2008-29 season, he bagged 38 goals in 51 games, driving Barcelona to win an unprecedented treble: the Domestic Cup, the League, and the Champions League. The absolute climax of that incredible season? The Champions League final in Rome. And talk about poetic justice. Our ultimate underdog, the guy who was once diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency and told he might never reach 5 feet tall, literally hangs in the air, leaping high above Manchester United's giant defenders to score this stunning, gravity-defying header. You really can't write a better script.
At just 22 years old, following this monumental, historic season, he didn't just reach the top of the mountain.
He claimed the ultimate individual crown. He won his first Ballon d'Or and FIFA World Player of the Year awards, and he didn't just win them, he obliterated the competition. We're talking the greatest voting margin in the entire history of the sport up to that point. With this, he officially cemented his status at the very top of the football world, proving exactly what happens when you combine raw, undeniable talent with absolute discipline. Which leaves us with a pretty inspiring question to wrap up this explainer. How does a boy, once deemed too physically small to even step onto a professional pitch, end up becoming the biggest giant in the history of football? It is just a breathtaking testament to human potential, unyielding discipline, and absolute resilience. Let that sink in the next time you're facing what feels like impossible odds. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.